Magalies Water has refuted claims made by the City of Tshwane, which suggests that the company is partly responsible for a cholera outbreak in Hammanskraal, which has so far claimed the lives of 12 people. That update coming to us from the Health MEC just a moment ago. Now, the bulk supplier says its water remains compliant and safe for human consumption. At the same time, the city says it's working to contain the spread of this cholera outbreak and is testing water samples. For more on this, we're joined this morning by the Tshwane MMC for Utilities and Regional Operations. Themba Fosi joins us on the line. Themba, thanks very much indeed for coming on. I asked the Health MEC this question. I'll put it to you as well. How did this happen?
Okay, at this point in time, let me start by saying condolences to the families of those that have departed, and we will do everything in our power to make sure that we sort the problem out. One is that we don't have the source yet because all the samples have been sent in for tests, and then on Wednesday we would definitely say where this emanated from. At this point in time, we may point fingers there and there. Up until such time we have conclusive evidence of where the source is, only then can we act.
So suffice to say, Themba, that for the families of those 12 people who have died, this action is too little, too late, 16 years too late. That's how long this community has been struggling with proper drinking water.
But then remember, with cholera, you cannot willy-nilly point as to what was the source. It can come from anybody. It's contagious. Somebody, like now, we've got an issue in Bloemfontein. We can't then narrow it down to the water treatment plant in the Rooiwal or even Themba, or to a great extent Magalies. At this point in time, we can only conclusively say where this is coming from, because we cannot then say it is from water or it is from a certain source up until we have a conclusive evidence.
One of the things that the Health MEC has been emphasizing is the importance of hand hygiene for residents of Hammanskraal in the midst of this cholera outbreak. That's difficult, right, when the vast majority of people there don't have access to clean tap water. How do we then ensure hand hygiene in that context?
We've got water tankers for potable water. We have perpetuated messages. Extraordinary measures were taken to make sure that we inform residents that water that is from the tap should only be used on washing cars, the gardens, and all of that, except potable water. Potable water will be serviced via the water tankers, of which all our water tankers are being tested on a month-to-month basis to ascertain that there is no cholera or there is no any other source that could be able to harm our people.
So at the moment, residents can't even use the tap water for washing their hands?
Yes, but we have potable. We have an increase from normal 3-day delivery of water to 5-day delivery of water via the water tankers to make sure that we mitigate the huge usage that will be in demand, so that they can be able to wash water and do all those important stuff. However, we still emphasize to residents to make sure that they do not use any tap water for consumption purposes until we've got data.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Themba, you reckon all residents in Hammanskraal have access to this portable water?
Yes, all residents in the Hammanskraal area has potable water via the Human Settlements Program for informal settlements and those from the bulk utilities to formal settlements, to make sure that they've got access to drinking water. Remember that those that are being affected are mainly those in the central area of Hammanskraal. The east and west are sorted out because they are receiving water via the Rainwater Board, and the west is receiving via the Magalies Water, which is towards the Soshanguve area and to Hammanskraal. Not everybody is affected by this tap water issue. It is only those from the Meritela side and those that from the Rooiwal side, which are mitigated by a huge influx of water tankers into the areas.
Excuse me. Themba, can I get an update from you? Because the issue of trustworthy drinking water, trustworthy clean tap water in Hammanskraal is by no means a new one, right? Going as far back as 16 years ago, civil society organizations have been fighting for this basic right of having access to clean water in Hammanskraal. Why has this not been sorted out by now, 2023?
This was because of sporadic corruptions on the project. I mean, it is a known fact that the issue of rainwater is supposed to have been sorted out long time. Actually, you're right to say it started 16 years ago. However, when we took over, it went a little bit deeper than that, where we now have information of graft, corruption, and all of that. Last week we met with the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Minister Newzroom, to assist us or bring our technical team so that we can be able to have all hands on deck and make sure that we get this rival issue to bed. So something is being done. I can conclusively tell you that.
Corruption is not a victimless crime, right? And we see it now with the deaths of these 12 people as a result of this cholera outbreak, even though you say we can't pinpoint where the cholera comes from, whether it's from the tap water or however else it is taken from one person to another. Do you agree that...
Most definitely.
Do you agree that this is a reactive response from government insofar as this cholera outbreak is concerned, as opposed to the issue of clean water in Hammanskraal being high up on the agenda and government handling it proactively?
I must say one death is one death too many, especially because of something that could have been averted long time ago. We are taking responsibility as the city and to make sure that any accusation that's leveled against us, we will be able to investigate and make sure that even the water tankers that are there are tested to make sure that there's no infection of cholera or any other thing to that effect. But one thing I can tell you is that this should have been sorted out 16 years ago. We are trying as hard as possible to make sure that we expedite whatever project, have all hands on deck from the provincial and national government to make sure that we get this to bed, because people are not supposed to have water tankers in this day and age of our lives. It is highly irregular of having to have potable water through water tankers. However, something is being done by this government, and we are trying at all levels to make sure that we bring whatever stakeholders, even private sector, to assist us and make sure that we remediate this situation that has happened.
All right, so it's taken a cholera outbreak for government to admit as much, that this was really the result of corruption. It should have, as you say, in your words, have been sorted out 16 years ago. Now that this cholera outbreak has happened, now that 12 people have died and many, many more are in a critical condition in hospital, can you now give us a time frame for addressing clean water in Hammanskraal?
Unfortunately, this is a process, it's a lengthy process to get wastewater and water treatment plants back into commissioning. Unfortunately, we cannot commit on what time, but we can, however, give you milestones when we have reached step A, step 2, step 3, step 4, and we would be able to come through to the media and say something has been done. Unfortunately, we are currently on phase 2 of the Royval project, which now requires about 2.9 billion, and the minister has come through to assist us, to give us assurance that he will be able to come through and perhaps assist us in making sure that we get this to bed.
Can you imagine residents of Hammanskraal listening to this interview, hearing you say that you cannot commit 16 years later? You've admitted to it should have been sorted out 16 years ago, and now you cannot commit. Can you imagine how devastating that must be to residents in Hammanskraal, in particular those who have lost loved ones?
Most definitely. Remember also, we need to manage expectations. You cannot just willy-nilly also make commitments when you cannot even yourself make up to those commitments. It's very important so that we manage the expectations and make sure that whatever we deliver on time, and we make sure that there's quality to it. So as I can tell you, is that all hands are on deck on this issue, and it is one of the priorities that this executive mayor has mentioned also in the State of the City address, that we will make sure that this issue of Rooiwal is something of the past. With the invitation of the private sector, making sure that the national government is also taking charge on this so that we can be able to assist, because City of Tshwane alone, it is hugely impossible to sort out the mess at the Rooiwal water treatment.
Themba, Fosi, let me thank you for your time this morning. Themba is the Tshwane MMC for Utilities and Regional Operations. I wish that what would have come out of that conversation would have been some real timelines for bringing an end to the water crisis in Hammanskraal. Unfortunately, that is not the case. 12 people have died so far. Many others are still in a critical condition in hospital with this cholera outbreak in Hammanskraal. The advisory from government is do not use any of the water coming out of the tap unless you're using it for washing a car. But you cannot wash your hands with it. You certainly cannot drink it. You need to rely on potable water, which is what the city is providing.